The rain is gone in Boston, but it's a chilly day here on the sidewalk. Nonetheless, there are scores of people out that we have not seen in some time. And as law enforcement tries and starts to sift through the evidence against the suspected bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, some Republicans call for him to be treated like an enemy combatant. California Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff is a member of the House Intelligence Committee. He's also a former federal prosecutor and served on LA's Joint Terrorism Task Force. And, sir, thank you for your time today. One thing we have learned in the past 24 hours is that the older brother made a trip to Russia for about a period of 6 months in 2012. What are we learning about that trip, sir?
Well, at this point, there's a great deal we don't know about it. I mean, clearly, we were given a request to look into his background prior to this trip. There were some concerns raised about it. You got to imagine, Bill, that there are a lot of palpitations going on within the FBI about what did they see when they looked into this, what, if anything, did they miss, and that's going to be heavily scrutinized. But at this point, at least we don't know yet what it was involved in that trip, whether he was radicalized during that trip. It may be the case simply that he was radicalized more when he got home. I think there's a lot of question about whether he would have really been put in touch with the kind of people that would have trained him for a terrorist attack in the United States, or why that would have even been a motivation. So a lot of unanswered questions on that front, but you got to believe within the FBI right now, a lot of people poring over what did they see, what, if anything, did they miss, and how do we approach this in the future.
And I know this is early, and I can appreciate that. But there's a group in Dagestan, which is where the father lives now, and apparently where these two men spent some time before they came to the U.S., with links to a group there called, I hope I'm saying that right, Vilayat Dagestan, that the older brother was posting to a website. Do you have knowledge of this group or knowledge of this posting, sir?
Well, you know, unfortunately, most of us right now are out in our districts, and when we get back, you got to imagine that we're going to be briefed immediately on it, on this whole region, on what threat may emanate from this region. So, you know, I certainly know the history of the region. There's been a lot of violence there that's gone back and forth between Islamic militants and the Russian government. It is an incredibly bloody part of the world, and this conflict goes back many decades, in fact, much longer than that, back to the days of Stalin. So a very torturous history, but this would be the first time I think that conflict, if in fact that is the motivation here, resulted in a form of terrorism in the United States. I still think that may be a conclusion that we don't ultimately come to. This may be more to do about people feeling alienated that come here, or more the pull of radical Islam in a generic way than anything that is specific to the struggle in Dagestan or Chechnya.
One other point here about the one who survived. We believe he will recover. Said to be in serious or critical condition as of last night. We don't have an update from the hospital as of today. I know you believe that he should not be treated as an enemy combatant. This is a man who had a passport granted to him when he earned U.S. citizenship on September 11, 2012. But why do you believe that, sir? And should that position change?
Well, I think that the administration is taking the right approach, and that is, at this time, they're using the public safety exception under Miranda to find out, are there other bombs out there? Are there other co-conspirators? Are our troops at risk somewhere else around the world? Those are all the right questions, and we have all the legal right to ask them. But if we're talking about a U.S. citizen here on U.S. soil, the heavy, perhaps irrebuttable presumption ought to be that they're treated as a suspect in a case in federal criminal court. We are far afield from the other paradigm, which is arresting a foreign national in Afghanistan in a theater of war. That is the paradigm for using the military process. So I think here the civilian courts have demonstrated the ability to prosecute terrorists very successfully. There's no reason to think they can't be successful in prosecuting him. And there's no reason to think that we also can't derive the intelligence we need, both through the suspect under this public safety exception, as well as all the work that our intelligence agencies are doing right now.
We're going to continue this discussion, not just with you, but others over the next 90 minutes or so. But I appreciate your time. Adam Schiff, Democrat from Republican. Thanks, there, with us out of Los Angeles today. Thank you again, sir, for your time. You know, Martha, as you well know,